What's up, everybody, and welcome to week 5 of the NFL season, live for your start-sit needs. I'm Bo, that's Brant. Brant, we've got some live football right now over in London. I actually kind of hate these London games just because I feel like the turf's not set up for NFL players. I feel like we always end up with some kind of injuries that come out of these games. And plus, it just kind of takes away from my Sunday mornings. I like to lay on the couch, watch, NFL countdown to kickoff, just kind of vibe all day. Think about what the food I'm going to eat. Think about which game I'm going to make. I get to overthink my lineups all day long until kickoff. I get to go back and go, oh, I forgot to put that bet in on Underdog, and go back and make more bets over the course of the morning. And I'm just not going to be able to do that this morning. And I think it's kind of throwing me for a loop.
It is. It's starting to become a yearly thing where we get 3-4 weeks of these London games, and it's always rough. It's always rough to watch. You got to make sure you're up in the morning. You got to make sure you set your lineup first thing before even the coffee's done brewing. But
That's
it always throws it off just a little bit. It's good to be able to sit back and have football on all day. Can we get a college game over there? That way I do get football all day, and I don't have to worry about my lineup that early. Can I get something else, maybe, the relegation round of football going on over there or something?
Like this Patriots-Dolphins contest would have been a great one to have, overseas, because, I don't know if anybody's starting Dolphins at this point or not anyway, but if you were, it's just a London game, right?
I'm not. Speaking of Dolphins, I'll go ahead and kick off our starts and sits, and I want your insight on this. You and me talked about it last night. This should never be a question ever in fantasy football. But Tyreek Hill or George Pickens, where's your head with this one? That's the one that's been burning in my head all week.
Yeah, I don't think my stance has changed from last night. I think I told you George Pickens last night, and I still think I stand by that. However, I think that's largely in part due to the fact that I think George Pickens has a pretty good game this week. I think Tyreek Hill gets back on track in a very small way, Brant. I'll talk about that a little bit later as we go on.
Okay, and it looks like Vikings touchdown.
Yep, pick 6.
Okay, I'm okay with that. Since I'm playing Darnold and Jefferson, keep them off the field for a little bit longer. But, I mean, this game right here, I mean, with the Dolphins in New England, you brought it up, so we'll talk about it a little bit while we wait for our first couple questions to come through. That's just a tough thing right there. That should be never a thing that we should ever have to talk about with Tyreek and Jalen Waddle. They're both too good. Mm-hmm. But that quarterback and offensive line situation is just so bad right now that you seriously have to consider benching Tyreek Hill. I have him benched in one league right now, and I'm struggling with it. I also have Tank Dell on that roster as well. And I'm struggling trying to find somebody to start over him, but it's not a good thing in Miami, and we may not see Tua come back at all.
Yeah, it's tough, right? I mean, the quarterback play is not great, which you can kind of see McDonald trying to get Tyreek involved, letting him run the ball out of the backfield. Like they're trying to do things right to make the offense a little bit more fast paced, a little bit more explosive. But man, that quarterback play is just holding back the Dolphins so much that, yeah, Brant, until we see, like, man, are you going to start Tyreek Hill and be okay with it when Tyler Huntley comes out and has another game where he passes for less than 100 yards.
Right.
And you're sitting guys like George Pickens instead, where, yeah, Justin Fields may not be the greatest passer, but he's a little bit more competent than Tyler Huntley has shown to be at this point. So, yeah, it's a tough situation because, your gut says this is Tyreek Hill, one pass, and he takes it 90 yards to the house, and it's a good week, right? But that's just not really happening right now. And it's crazy how big of a difference Tua makes in this Dolphins offense. But Brant, we're definitely to the point where it's like, until Tua's under center, I just don't know if I can comfortably advocate for starting a Miami Dolphins wide receiver right now.
Absolutely, it's rough, and they're speedy guys. But when you do bench them, you have to understand that if they do take that 90-yarder, you got to be okay with it. You are putting that away. So they're starting to become that boom or bust plays until future notice or until further notice here.
Yeah, I agree with that statement. Again, if you're chasing points, then maybe maybe if you're playing against somebody who had Darnell Mooney, Drake London, and Kirk Cousins in their lineup, maybe you start Tyreek Hill against that person and hope for one of those 90-yard touchdowns to kind of try to offset that. But again, you may get 5 points, but at that point, you're probably losing that week anyway. So,
right.
All right, Jennifer says Chase Brown, Justice Hill, Alexander Madison, or Jalen Waddle. So there you go, Brant. First question off the day with a Dolphins wide receiver. How do you feel on this one?
I think I'm pulling Waddle out as my first no-go here, unless, like you said, I need to chase and I'm behind. Let's see, Chase Brown, Cincy, they get Baltimore, so that's a rough matchup. Justice Hill, it's been very serviceable. Madison, we talked about that last week, how neither one of those guys are seeing 50% of the snaps at all somehow. Derrick Henry's been so good, like did Justice Hill. Oh, divisional game. I think I'm going to start with Madison here. I think I'm going to start with Alexander Madison going against the Denver Broncos. Should be a good game, close game, and he should get plenty of work. So I think I'm going to go with Madison.
You're 100% right, Brant. Zamir White is out today, so that makes Madison a must start for me. So yes, we are in agreement on this one. I think Chase Brown, if he was going against maybe not the Ravens, I'd be more leaning towards Chase Brown just because he's coming off such a stellar performance. But this should be the first week we see Alexander Madison, or for that matter, a Vegas Raider running back go over 50% of the snap percentage. So we'll go Madison in agreement here, Brant.
Kevin asked Dak or Jordan Love. Love's been so good. He is missing two of his weapons, and Watson and Dobbs. He has Pittsburgh, and that's a tough defense. I'm going to actually go with Jordan Love. Jordan Love is facing the Rams, who give up the third most passing touchdowns. They're very easy to pass against. They play a zone coverage. So I think I'm going to go with Jordan Love. I think that he's going to be able to pick apart that Rams defense, and I think he's going to end up having a very good week.
Okay, I'm gonna go Dak here. Sunday Night Football, must watch TV. And he still gets to throw the ball to CeeDee Lamb, and for me, that's enough. I think Jordan Love came out and looked way better in the second half than he did in the first last week. But I still think you get 4 quarters of football out of Dak this week, so I will go with him.
Okay.
Shade 721 says flex Rome Odunze or Alexander Madison in half-point PPR, Brant.
The Bears have Carolina. I'm actually going to go with Rome here. I think that Horn is going to shadow DJ Moore and slow him way down. I'm not sure. I'm assuming Allen's playing. He was healthy last week, and I haven't heard anything this week. So I'm assuming Keenan's playing. I'm double checking that right now. Yes, he's playing. I still think Rome and Dunze in half-point PPR. I like that. I like Rome over Madison.
Okay, yeah, if it was full-point PPR, I'd be in agreement here, Brant, but because it's half-point, I'm going to go with Madison again, who knows Zamir White in what should be a low-scoring contest. Pretty good defense on both sides of the ball, where I think that keeps the Raiders able to keep running the ball for extended a period of time, I think there'll be plenty of work for him. So Brant's reacting on screen to Jordan or Aaron Rodgers throwing a second interception and 2 drives. But yeah, I think it's Madison just because of the work he'll get, and with Keenan Allen healthy, with DJ Moore there, with Cole Kmet and DeAndre Swift with that running game looking so good as it did last week. And you're playing the Carolina Panthers teams. Which one do we get? Do we get the one where the Panthers are competitive, or do we get a week where it's the Carolina Panthers and the Bears put it away early and they're not passing much in the second half? Those things all combined make me a little nervous. I'll start Alexander Madison. No Devontae Adams for the Raiders either this week. So it should be a run fest for them.
Okay. This is what, the third? Yep, third interception just in the first quarter. This is crazy over there right now. I mean, I'm assuming they'll get it together after halftime. This is just a turnover fest right now.
Yeah, the Jets are just jet lagged, Brant.
Yeah, apparently so is so are the Vikings there.
But the New York Jets quarterback seeing ghosts just like old times.
Kevin asked, should I keep Justin Tucker or drop him for Austin Siebert?
Tucker's been struggling lately.
Yeah, Tucker's been struggling, but it is Tucker, and that's where this name value comes in, and it's the guy that we know can hit 20, 50-yard field goals in a matter of 2 weeks. And then, so I mean, it's rough to cut him, but moving him. If I could spell here, I could look at Seabird here, but if you're gonna drop him, I think you're streaming kickers the rest of the year.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, right?
Really keep that up.
It's tough, right? Because I mean, Tucker was probably the first drafted quarterback in your league. I mean, it's tough. I think Tuck probably gets it figured out at some point this season. He's too good. He's an all-time great in NFL history. I probably don't let Tucker go. I mean, honestly, if you're winning and losing weeks based on your kicker, that's tough. But Tucker will win you some games over the course of the year, too, when he's hitting those 60-yard bombs. So I keep Tucker at this point, Brant.
Okay.
All right, Kevin follows it up with, is Xavier Worthy a safe play this week? I think he absolutely is. I mean, listen, I think Kelsey's going to get the lion's share of those Rashee Rice targets, but somebody else got to catch the ball. It's not going to be Travis Kelce. I think Xavier Worthy, I think that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to know that they have to get him involved now that there is no Rashee Rice, and that they're going to have to open up the middle for Travis Kelce, because if I'm an opposing defensive coordinator, I'm taking away Travis Kelce at this point. So I think Worthy is a safe play. I think he should be the clear number 2 option in that offense behind Travis Kelce at this point. So I say yes.
I'm not completely sold on Worthy. So I think he could still be a boomer bust guy. I know they're missing Rice, and that's going to be tough there to replace Rice with how consistent he had been. I think he's a guy that's going to find his way in a lot of lineups, and I think his floor is okay. I think he'll see 3-4 catches, so he'll be fine in a flex play. I don't think I'm going to bank my whole week on him.
All right.
All right, Joe asked, Jordan Whittington or Brandon Ayuk? I'm going to go with Ayuk. I think that's going to be a shootout fest there, and I like Brandon Ayuk this week, so I think I'm going to go with Ayuk.
I probably should know this, Brant, but I haven't paid much attention. What did Whittington do last week? I think that'll be a determining factor for me, because I don't think he did a whole lot. Let's see. Whittington, he had 6 for 8 for 62 yards. Not a bad little day for him. What was his snap percentage? He was on the field for 97% of the snaps, man. I still think I'm going to go Brandon Ayuk, but Yeah, I'm going to go Brandon Ayuk as well, Brant. But I think it's a fair question to ask, Joe, because Weddington had a great game last week. But Packers defense is pretty healthy right now. I think this is one of those games. It's one of the higher scores of the week. I think this one goes under because I think the Packers defense is fairly dominant this week. So I will go Brandon Ayuk on the other end of that, just because I think the Packers do enough to slow down Matthew Stafford.
Okay. Fantasy Incorporated full point PPR. Pick one: Justice Hill versus the Bengals, or Johnson versus the Carolina Panthers. Let's check out Johnson's snap share here lately. I know he's been getting in and seeing it. I do like Justice Hill in a full point PPR, so I'm leaning that one. But before I give you a full answer, let me check this real fast. Yeah, he's only on 37, 7 attempts, no targets. Yeah, go ahead and give me Justice Hill in a full point PPR.
Yeah, I'm going to go on the other end of that and go Roschon Johnson. Last week, again, DeAndre Swift had his best game probably in several years. That was good enough to spell Johnson. They didn't need him. I think in this contest, again, if this game gets away from Carolina early, I think you see a heavy rotation of those backs. Roschon Johnson's kind of the change of pace guy anyway, really starting to get his legs underneath of him in the NFL. And on the other end of the things, Justice Hill's snaps shares probably fairly close to that of Roschon Johnson's at this point. So it's a, like you said, Brandon, it's kind of your personal preference here. I know Roschon Johnson didn't have any targets last week, but I believe he has had several over the course of the season. Like the week before last, he had 5 targets. So I'll go Roschon Johnson just again because they are playing the Carolina Panthers here. I feel like that is the worst defense out of the two when I'm playing, fringe backup running backs. I want to do the one where I think they're going to see the most work, and that's going to be the team playing the worst defense. So I will take Roschon on this one, right?
Okay. All right.
Nope. Too fast with the finger here. Brant, your pop's got a question. I'll let you answer this one.
I've already talked to him about it. He wants your advice on this one. This is the league that we co-own together, so he's looking for you on this one here.
Yeah, so Pop, for me, this one's pretty easy. He asks, need a flex, Najee Harris, Travis Etienne, Terry McLaurin, James Conner, or JSN. I feel like going into the week, had you take the defenses out of this, I think it's James Conner, but going up against that 49ers defense scares me. I'm starting Najee in a lot of places this week. No Jalen Warren, no Cordero Patterson. There should be nobody else to come in and snake touches from him. And really his usage has been fine. He's just not had any touchdowns. He's not had any breakaway plays. I think that changes on Sunday Night Football this week. I'm looking for a big week out of Najee Harris. And that's my guy out of those 4. Brad, I'd love to hear what you chose out of those as well.
I chose Najee as well. James Conner scares me. The work for Conner is so good there, though. It does make me consider it a little bit more. Terry's been so good, but I think Najee's due for a good week. He still saw 13 carries last week, even in a game with no Warren. So the work's there. So I think Najee is the best start this week.
Okay, we're in agreement.
Jennifer says this one's gross due to injuries and buys. Emmanuel Wilson, pick 3. Wilson, Bo Melton, Justin Watson, Slayton, or Demarcus Robinson. This one's got me going to my wheelhouse here. I got to look up some of these guys to see what they've done. I think we go with Robinson because he'll be on the field for the Rams with the lack of receivers they do have. I'm double checking to see what his snap share was. That's Wandale. That's the wrong Robinson there. Clicking wrong. My finger's getting too fat for me. Yeah, he's on the field 85% of the time, so you got to go with him. Slayton hasn't done anything for the Giants. It's been Wandale. Well, there's no Malik. I honestly think I would go Slayton here with no neighbors. Wandale's going to see the workhorse back, the heavy burden of the Seattle Secondary, they'll be focused more on Wandell. So I think I'm going to go with Slayton Robinson and I think I'm going to go with Justin Watson here, just because it is a Chiefs wideout. He's going to get on the field. They're banged up too, so I think I'm going to go with Watson. I think I'll go with those last three.
It took you a lot longer than it's going to take me to say those last three. I looked at this question pretty quickly. Was like Justin Watson due to the no Rashee Rice. We don't know who's going to be the second target. He's got just as good a chance as anybody else. Darius Slayton, again, as you mentioned, no Malik Neighbors and Demarcus Robinson, just because it's got to be somebody in LA, and he's on the field just as much as, like, apparently as much as Jordan Withington is. So that's it's the last three for me just as well. South SCO says need a defense. Cleveland versus Raiders. Or I guess he's given us the four options, Brant. Cleveland Browns, Vegas Raiders, New England Patriots, Miami Dolphins. Which one of these do you prefer?
So the Browns have, Miami has New England. New England has Miami. Both of those are decent starts there. Vegas has the Broncos, who have been Cleveland. I think I'm taking Cleveland out, actually. I think they have the toughest matchup. I think I'm going to go with New England. I did it last week going against Miami with what's that, the Titans, I think they played last week. So I think I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to go with New England.
Okay. I think outside of Cleveland, I think all three of Vegas, New England, and Miami are probably okay. If I had to say which one I want to start, because I think they'll keep the score the lowest, I think it's Miami, because there's no real weapons on New England side of the football. Again, starting New England against Miami, I think there will be some turnovers. But again, does Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle catch one and take it to the house? Does Devon Achane rip a long yard? That makes me a little nervous. I'm actually going to take the Raiders in this one, Brant, because there aren't any real outstanding weapons in Denver. I think it's a low-scoring contest. This one I could see being a kicker fest there. So I will take the Vegas Raiders in this one.
Okay. Tony asked, Parkinson or Njoku? I'm going to go with Parkinson. But that's one of the highest scoring games on this week. You're not sure how Njoku is going to look coming back off that ankle injury. So I'm going to go with Colby Parkinson.
Okay, I could understand that one. For me, this is Colby Parkinson's been so up and down. Man, I feel like Njoku's been the missing piece of this Browns offense. I know you've got to be excited. Well, actually, you traded him here not too long ago, so you probably don't care at this point. But I'm excited to kind of see how Njoku fits back in again. I think, the Cleveland and Kevin Stefanski are one of these teams that they want to run the ball. They want to run the ball. They want to establish the run, use a lot of play action. If the Commanders' offense gets going today and they're not able to do that and run the ball a lot, and they're having to pass a lot, that should really benefit Njoku. I don't necessarily love either one of these guys, Brant, but the tight end position has been so crap this year that I don't think you can go wrong with starting either one of them, because they probably both have around 8 points, because that's just about what we're getting from the tight ends this year. But I'm going to go Njoku. I think Njoku has been the missing piece of the Browns puzzle on offense. I think he gets involved quite a bit this week. I'm going to go David Njoku. I don't know if I feel great about it, but Colby Parkinson's been so hit or miss that I'm willing to gamble on Njoku.
Okay.
Kyle says Amari Cooper or Xavier Worthy, Brant.
I'm going to go with Worthy. It's Kansas City offense. Cleveland has looked so bad. I think Amari Cooper's actually been semi-serviceable with that offense. He's been moved so much in our league, sometimes it's hard to find him. But I think I'm going to go with Worthy. I think, like I said, I'm not 100% sold on him, but somebody has to be that guy, and he has the best shot out of anyone to be that guy with Rice going down.
Yeah, I think I'll agree with you on this one. Xavier Worthy, number one, it gives you that chance for that Monday night miracle if you have a bad week or your opponent has a great week. And he should slot in to be pretty good. Listen, that Browns passing game's been bad. Njoku is back. That adds another option. I know Amari Cooper's been like the one thing that's been decent in
No,
in
he
Cleveland.
hasn't. The only reason he was decent, he's got great targets. He's had he's been wide receiver 58, except for 1 week. He had 2 touchdowns. He was wide receiver 5. He's had great targets, not catches. It's not
Go look at Jerry. Go look at Jerry Jeudy, and then you'll see just how good it's been for Amari Cooper. I think it is Xavier Worthy, though. Again, when you're talking about it, do I want my guy catching passes from Deshaun Watson, or do I want him catching passes from Patrick Mahomes? And I'm going to take the Patrick Mahomes side of that every day and twice on Sundays.
Judy's actually been better than him all year, except for the one game where Cooper was wide receiver 5.
What's Judy's best finish been?
27.
Yeah, not great.
No. Surprisingly better than Cooper. Kevin asked, I can't believe I'm saying this, A-Chain or Eckler. I'm still going A-Chain. Somebody has to do something on that offense. I'm going to go with A-Chain.
If Brian Robinson was out this week, I would have said Eckler on this one. But Brian Robinson is playing. So yeah, I'm not in love with Eckler this year. A-Chain again is one touch and he's gone. I mean, it hasn't happened yet for Miami, but at some point, somebody's going to score an offensive touchdown for this Miami Dolphins. At some point, it's going to happen. And I think it's got just as good a chance as it is A-Chain that it is anybody else this week. So I will go with Devon A-Chain.
Okay.
Dickie says pick. Oh, go ahead.
Pick 3, one being a flex. Zay Flowers, Wick, Shaheed, Wan'Dale Robinson, or B-Rob. I'm going to go with Robinson without Neighbors. Robinson should feast this week, and he's been great with Neighbors. And Daniel Jones, that offense has been great. So that's my first one. I think I go with Zay Flowers. I think this game, they try to force them to throw a little bit more. So I think I'm going to go with Zay. Washington has Cleveland. I still think I'm going to go with Brian Robinson. I can't go away from him. He's been great this year, so I think I'm going to go with Brian Robinson, Wan'Dale, and Zay Flowers are going to be my 3.
Yeah, I mean I think I'm gonna agree with you here, Brent, but this is a really good problem to have because it's tough, right? Dontavian Wicks, no Romeo Dobbs, no Christian Watson. It makes some sense that it could be the next man up there in Green Bay to catch some passes from Jordan Love and be involved. So that one's interesting. And Shaheed, man, he's been really good with the exception of like 1 week where he had a really down week. He's kind of been low-key pretty good. So it's tough for me on this one. I want to say that you can't really go wrong with either of these guys, but Zay Flowers has been an absolute target monster. Wan'Dale Robinson should be the focal point of that Giants pass catching game. With no Malik Neighbors. The only thing that scares me a little bit is Robinson's not really all that great when he has to draw the number 1 corner, and he should face with Devon Witherspoon this week. So that does have me a little nervous for Wan'Dale. But again, Brian Robinson is one of my favorite players this week. I don't set him for any reason at all at this point. So I will go with the same 3 that you did, Brant. But for me, it's definitely I don't feel like you can go wrong with these guys is what I'm getting at here. So,
okay. Absolutely.
Kyle says Darius Slayton or Michael Wilson, Brant.
So at the beginning of the year, I would have told you Michael Wilson just because I really thought he was going to do a whole lot. They have the Niners. I think I'm going to go with Slayton. Slayton will slot into that number 2. That offense has been pretty good this past couple weeks. So I think I'm going to go with Slayton. I know hard to pick a pass catcher not named Neighbors from Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably Slayton. I think the Giants' offenses look serviceable this year. I wasn't sure what to expect, but I'll go with Slayton here. Seattle's secondary does scare me, Brant. I'll be honest. Seattle's secondary, especially without an alpha like Malik Neighbors, I think you guys could shut this pass game down. pretty early today. But your defense doesn't. This is not a shot at your Seattle Seahawks at all. They don't scare me as much as the 49ers defense does. I just think I think most of us would agree when it comes to 49ers defense or our team's defense, we're probably always going to say, yeah, I'd rather start fantasy guys against my own offense or my own team. But I'll go Darius Slayton as well, just because I think both of these guys have minimal days here, but I'll roll with Slayton just because I don't love it. I'll roll with Slayton.
Okay. We were missing 8 starters at the end of the second half of the game against Detroit, so our defense is a little banged up. I'm looking actually right now to see who all we're going to be missing this week. We're going to get Nwosu back, so we'll get our pass rush back. So our defense should look a little better this week than it did last week after getting dismantled by Detroit. So Kevin asked, Brock Bowers or TJ Hockenson rest of the season? I'm going with Brock Bowers. He's going to be the focal point of that passing game once Devontae Adams moves on. That's supposed to ramp up next week. I'm going with Brock Bowers. Hockenson has been out. He has no chemistry with Darnold right now. Darnold's chemistry with the rest of this team is phenomenal. So I think I'm going to go with Bowers.
Rest of season's really tough, right? Because we just don't know how things are going to shake out. If Devontae Adams gets traded and he's out, that should make Brock Bowers the number one target in Vegas. But we all said the same thing about Dalton Kincaid in Buffalo, and he's not really having a great season. I'm actually going to go TJ Hockenson just because this Vikings offense is absolutely electric with Kirk Cousins under center, which, again, none of us thought that was going to be the case. Brock Bowers was like tight end 3 before his injury last year. So I still think I'm going to go TJ Hockenson here just because it's the rest of this season. It is a rookie. I think that Raiders offense is going to be an absolute turmoil the rest of the season. They've already talked about making quarterback changes. I guess Pierce has said he wouldn't rule out a quarterback change. So just because of how solid Sam Darnold's been this year, I'm going to go with his pass catchers over either Aiden O'Connell or Garner Minshew. Michael says Dak or Geno Smith, Brant.
Dak has Pittsburgh. I'm going to go Geno. Geno's been rocking it. We've been trusting him to throw the ball. He has all of his targets, should be on the field. I'm going to go with Geno here. I think we're right up there about the same. What a 1 point difference in the over-under. So I'm going to go with Geno.
Yeah, I'm going to go Geno too, just because Vegas has the implied point total for the Seahawks being higher than they have it for the Cowboys. They have you guys favored by a full touchdown in that contest against the Giants. So I'll go Geno as well in this one. Geno's got a healthy repertoire of pass catchers. Dak doesn't. Brandon Cooks was placed on the IR this week, so I'll go Geno just because you guys are playing a lesser defense and he's got a full repertoire of weapons.
Okay, it's your turn to pronounce the name this week.
No, this is your question, sir.
All right, Jennifer asked Fergie. Name I can't pronounce. Gibson, Justice, pick one. I'm going to go with Gibson. Gibson was named the starter there for New England. I know it's not the prettiest thing to be a starter in New England, but I'm going to go with Gibson. I know Gibson's the starter there. It does make it a little tougher with Ferguson there, but with Pittsburgh's defense, I still think I go with Gibson against Miami's banged up defense.
Yeah, if the Cowboys were playing anybody other than maybe not anybody, but if they were playing another team that wasn't the Steelers, I think maybe I'd be a little bit more interested in Jake Ferguson this week. But I'll go Antonio Gibson as well, Brant. Mattia says Jerry Jeudy or Austin Eckler.
Gross. I'm going to go Jeudy just because B-Rob's been so good. I'm not sure how much work Eckler's going to need. And that Cleveland defense scares me. So I'm actually going to go Jeudy here.
Give me the player on the more high scoring.
It's bye week.
It's give me Austin Eckler. I think again, when you're talking about which offense would you rather start somebody in, it's got to be the one that's going to score more points, right? So, yeah, I'll take Eckler. I'll take Eckler. Not going to overthink it. I'll take him.
Chris says my team's been plagued with injuries. I need 2 out of the 3 for wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2. That's DJ Moore, Pittman, Leggett, and let's hit that one there first. I'm going to go with Moore and Pittman. Pittman looked phenomenal when Flacco came in last week. You know, I should have known Richardson was going to get hurt the minute that I put everything on the under for Pittman last week. So I'm going to go with Pittman and Moore as my wide receiver 1 and 2 there.
All right, I'm going to go in agreement on those two. Pittman's a must start. I'm putting him at the wide receiver 1 over DJ Moore, by the way, just because it's Joe Flacco. If it was Anthony Richardson, I think I might be on Xavier Leggett.
Yes.
But I'll take DJ Moore and Michael Pittman. And then as far as the flex, Brant, I don't know if you'd said your pick there. I'll let you go first on that one.
I'm not. The flex, he's got Ford, Brown, Mostert, and I'm assuming Leggett as well. I'm not going with Mostert. I'm assuming Chubb's still out. I know he opened his practice window. I think I'm going to go with Jerome Ford as my flex here. I like it. I like the work that should be there for him. So I'm going to go with Jerome Ford.
Yep, I agree with you there, Brand. It's Jerome Ford for me, coming off another great week of work, and I think you're going to try to. I think you'll try to see the Browns try to slow down Jaden Daniels and keep those legs from beating them. So I think you see a decent amount of Jerome Ford this week. I like Jerome Ford. Adam says Xavier Worthy, Jackson Smith, and Jigber, Juwan Jennings in the flex and half-point PPR.
I'm going to go with Worthy here. JSN, I know we've seen 2 weeks of him seeing 12-plus targets, but that's still scary for me. You and me talked about that. I don't know if I can trust him yet or not, so I'm going to go with Worthy here.
Yeah, for me, it's between Worthy and JSN. I think with Debo being back, being healthy, I'm pretty out on the Juwan Jennings thing. So it comes down to those first two. And again, for me, it's where are these guys at in the pecking order, Brant? I think Xavier Worthy slots in to be the number 2 this week. I know JSN has been back and forth, but I think he's probably still, in my mind, behind Lockett and DK. I'm going to go Xavier Worthy again on this one. He seems to be the common start of the week for you and I. So here you go, Brent. You get a chance at redemption. Fantasy Incorporated is coming at you with help.
And thank God I'll still mess it up. Yoshi Boss.
There you go. Now we need to print this out and put it in the desk in front of you so you have it moving forward.
Writing it down, buddy. Writing it down.
Thank you, Fantasy Incorporated, for helping one half of the Fatboyz out there.
This fat boy doesn't pronounce names well, even if you spell them out.
I've heard Brent get Smith wrong before, so I digress. Elliot says Josh Downs, Xavier Leggett, or Zay Flowers, half-point PPR. He says start one, and good morning. Good morning, Elliot, first of all. Brent, which one of these guys do you is there one that sticks out more than the other that you're like, yeah, I got to get him in my lineup this week?
I really want to say Leggett, but that defense in Chicago scares me. I'm going to go with Zay Flowers because I think that game's going to get out of hand quick, or not out of hand. I think that game's going to be forced to be a passing game. So I'm going to go with Zay Flowers in that one.
Okay, I think I agree as well. I mean, Xavier Leggett's coming off of a coming out party, for the Panthers last week. I think he had something like 60 receiving yards and a touchdown. And then Josh Downs also looked way better with Joe Flacco than he has with Anthony Richardson. But I'm going to go with the consistency of the Zay Flowers there. This should be a great contest between the Ravens and Bengals, one of the highest point totals of the week. I like Zay Flowers an awful lot.
All right, sorry. Rob asked, need one for PPR. Ford, Connor, Kirk, or Worthy? Oh.
We got a fullback score in London.
Oh, sweet. That helps me out a lot. I'm going to go with Kirk here. I think this is the get right for Lawrence this week, and I like Christian Kirk in that offense. So I think I'm going to go with Kirk in a PPR league. Any other week besides playing the Niners, this is James Conner with how good his workload's been. But I got to go with Christian Kirk.
All right, so Brant's riding the Kirk train. For me, it comes down to Xavier Worthy and Jerome Ford. Again, I think Jerome Ford's going to be really good this week again. I think they're going to try to slow down the Commanders' offense, keep the ball out of their hands, and let Jerome Ford run the ball a lot. But then the caveat to that is you get Xavier Worthy Monday night, and I always like having that guy to play Monday to kind of give me some hope. I'm gonna go Xavier Worthy, Brant. I've been on him all week or all show so far. I can't get off of that here. I got to double down on it. I'm gonna go Xavier Worthy Monday night with Patrick Mahomes in a game where he scores at least one touchdown again. So rip it off like a Band-Aid, pitter patter. Let's get at her. Okay.
Right.
Real quick, I know we're getting close to the time where we would normally go and do our touchdown scores of the week and our underdog plays of the week. I gotta ask, after sitting here watching this game, Are we declaring a state of emergency for the New York Jets? Are we out on Aaron Rodgers at this point? Like we've all been waiting since his injury. Like, hey man, this is going to be it. Garrett Wilson's going to break out. Jets to the moon. How are we feeling after 4.5 weeks of the Jets with Aaron Rodgers under center at this point?
So if this was just this week, if he just looked serviceable in the past few weeks, and then this week he looks like this, I probably want it because they are in London, the jet lag, he's old. But this has been all 4 weeks, like nothing. Like Breece Hall doesn't even look like he did at the beginning of the year. Allen looks like the best piece as a backup running back. It's scary what this Jets offense is going on. And you can say, oh, they'll get it together once they get chemistry. Well, Rodgers has been there. I get he's been hurt, but it doesn't look good. I think we are hitting the panic button on this team. Excuse me, I think you're hitting the panic button on Garrett Wilson a little bit. He'll still be serviceable because, he's got, 7 targets in the first half. So he's going to be targeted a lot. So I think you are hitting the panic button. The defense is going to keep them in a lot of games. I know it looks ugly right now, but you got to think one of them's a pick six, and one of them, the other one is off a pass interference play. But
several pass interference plays.
Was there several? I saw the one in the end zone.
Yes.
Normally, that defense is held up pretty well. But yeah, I think you're hitting the panic button on that.
Okay. All right. We got one more quick question here we're going to get to, and then we'll do our underdog plays of the week. Tyler says start to Tank Dell, Jerome Ford, Kareem Hunt, or drop Tank Dell for Joshua Downs. He follows it up with Tank Dell stinks, and no one wants him. I will say first, Brant, I know that felt like a personal attack against you because you love Tank Dell. Tank Dell's been playing through an injury at this point. I'm still not convinced he's fully healthy yet, but I'm not getting rid of Tank. Honestly, if I had to drop one of these guys for Joshua Downs, I'm probably going to get rid of Kareem Hunt. And I know that sounds crazy to say, but how long does that hold up? The Cleveland Browns are absolute dog water at football, and they cut Kareem Hunt. So how long does that hold up in Kansas City? I don't know. For me, I'm starting Jerome Ford and Tank Dell in this one. I don't know if you see this differently, Brant, but I'm assuming you're not getting rid of Tank Dell either.
I'm definitely not getting ready to take Dell. Dell is a better option than Downs in my mind. Downs is struggles with Anthony Richardson underneath center. So I definitely not dropping Dell. I'm actually going to start Ford and Hunt this week because I think Steele is still in the doghouse with that fumble on a very very meaningful play in that game. So I actually think I'm going to start Hunt this week. They have. Why am I not finding this game?
Against the Saints on Monday night.
Okay, that's why, because I'm not going that far down my page. So yeah, I think I think I'm still going to go with Hunt and Ford on this one.
Okay. Tyler does comment back and say that He doesn't necessarily care about the Anthony Richardson and Josh Downs thing being bad because Flacco's starting. Tyler, I think what Brant's trying to say is this rest of season, Anthony Richardson's going to be the starter when he's healthy, whereas Tank Dell's going to have C.J. Stroud. Tank Dell and C.J. Stroud are best friends. I think you're going to keep Tank Dell just because. Listen, Flacco, it was great. It was great last week. He's 72 years old. I know we saw them do it in Cleveland last year. Don't panic on Tank Dell just yet. It's been injuries. Give him a chance here to come back. I know we have another question. We're going to get to that right here in a second, but it is time for the Underdog Plays of the Week. Brant, are you ready to get into these?
Absolutely.
All right, Brant, start us off with your plays of the week.
All right, so my plays of the week. It's gonna be a common theme here. I attacked 2 games and then threw a homer pick in. I'll go with the homer pick. I'm going with DK Metcalf, higher than 68.5 receiving yards. He's looked phenomenal this year. He's drawn the New York Giants, who have been banged up, haven't been very good against the pass. So I'm going to go with DK Metcalf to go higher than 68.5 receiving yards. Now I'm going to attack the Rams here. I'm going with Jordan Love higher than 1.5 passing touchdowns. I'm going with Reed higher than 76.5 rushing plus receiving yards, so total yards. Reed has gone over 140 yards in both games, total yards with Love starting. So I'm going to go with Reed there. And the Rams give up the 3rd most passing touchdowns in the NFL. So I'm going to go with Jordan Love to go higher than 1.5 passing yards here. And then my next one is Brian Thomas to go over Brian Thomas Jr. to go higher than 57.5 receiving yards. He's one of the best deep threats on that team. And then Trevor Lawrence was ranking 4th amongst deep targets in the NFL. So I like Thomas to go higher than 57.5. Next one is Trevor Lawrence higher than 234.5 passing yards. I think they have to pass the ball against Indy. Indy's not very good against the pass. And like I said, I think Trevor Lawrence gets back on track this week. So I like him to go higher than 234 passing yards.
Okay. All right, Brant, for me on my side of it, I've started off with one that I think is just going to be an electric contest. Excuse me, between the Bills and the Houston Texans. Stephon Diggs in a revenge game, right? Left Buffalo on under bad terms. I think he goes higher than 58.5 receiving yards this week. I think he's going to go up to C.J. Stroud in the locker room before the game and is like, hey, man, I need a favor this week. I'm going to ask for some targets. Let me remind these guys how good I was in Houston playing against his former team. I've got Chuba Hubbard to go higher than 62.5 rushing yards. I said it last week, and I said it the week before. The Bears are giving up over 5 yards per carry to opposing running backs. I'm starting every running back against the Chicago Bears until they show me I can't do it moving forward. Chuba Hubbard higher than 62.5 receiving yards. Marvin Harrison, I have higher than 4.5 receptions. I think the Arizona Cardinals' only chance to beat the divisional opponent in the 49ers is to pass the ball this week, get Kyler Murray out of the pocket, and let him kind of play some schoolyard football. I think Marvin Harrison has to have a good game in order for that to happen. Now, my 2 other ones, Brant, I think I'm going to get some reaction out of you on these ones. Mark Andrews, higher than 24.5 receiving yards. I think he actually catches the 2 or 3 targets thrown his way this week and just happens to get like 26 or 27 yards. I'm not saying he's fantasy relevant. I'm not saying he's startable in fantasy. I'm just simply saying I think Mark Andrews can get 24.5 receiving yards this week. The news, the media, the fantasy football world, everybody's coming out saying, what the hell is wrong with Mark Andrews? I think Jim Harbaugh throws him a couple cupcake passes this week and gets him on track. So there you go. And the last one, I have Tyreek Hill to go higher than 52.5 total yards. We saw him take plenty of carries out of the backfield last week. I think, again, they showed that they really want to get him involved. Last week, they let him take some carries out of the backfield. I think that's a trend that we see continue this week. I could see him going over 52.5 total yards on just a couple carries. It doesn't even have to have Tyler Huntley throwing in the ball. So I think there's a chance that he has a fairly good contest this week. All right. So you haven't fallen out on me yet, so you must not hate him too much, but it gotta put some of the old dudes in there, Brant.
I hate the fact you're saying Tyreek Hill. Now I have to go back and reconsider him in 2 leagues on if I want to start him or not. Now, no, we normally wait just a minute before we get into TD scores, but I'm going to jump straight into these because you talk about a revenge game. My first TD scorer, Diggs, to score against his old team. So you hit that one on the head. I think he goes, hey, just target me in the red zone. Let me show these guys, hey, I'm better than anything you have on your receiving core, especially now that Shakira is also out this week. My other one, I'm going with Derrick Henry. He's looked phenomenal. I know. Such a risky play. So hard. Next one, James Conner. I think he falls into the end zone. I think they get a PI or something. I think he gets a 1-yard rush. He falls in. He gets too much red zone work. I think James Conner finds the end zone. My last one, Kenneth Walker will find the end zone this week against the New York Giants. Kenneth Walker is due for a huge game. He's not due. Kenneth Walker should have a huge game. We saw what he did on 12 carries against the number 5 rush defense in the NFL. I think Kenneth Walker is a must start. I think he's a must play every single week. I don't think the Charbonnet thing is going to scare me as much as I thought it was. Kenneth Walker looked too good not to be on that field. So I think he finds the end zone this week.
Okay, well, I'll start mine off with an easy one then. I also have the extremely risky play on Derrick Henry to find the end zone this week. No disagreement there. I'm going to start by doubling down on the Bears run defense. I've got Chuba Hubbard to find the end zone again this week. Again, I'm just anytime the Bears play somebody who's got a running back who's got a pulse, I'm going to take them in fantasy football. I've got James Cook, who had a relatively quiet game last week in Buffalo. I've got him to find pay dirt this week. And just to make Brant question his life a little bit more, not only do I have Tyreek Hill going over 52.5 total yards, I've got him finding the end zone this week as well. I think Tyreek Hill could have a sneaky good week. I don't think you're going to see a 40-point explosion out of him. I think you're looking at like the 18 to 20-point mark for Tyreek Hill. I think they're going to try to get the ball in his hands an awful lot, and that's going to result in over 52.5 yards and a touchdown for him this week, just because I want Brant's brain to fry. Okay. All right. We've got a couple questions to get back to here, and then we still got to talk about what kind of food we're eating this week. So keep it moving. BK says, hey, guys, my team is in a tough spot with injuries and buys. Should I start Raheem Morris or Jaleel McLaughlin?
I think I'm going to go with McLaughlin here. I'm just going to jump on it. I think I go with McLaughlin here. I'm not sure what Mostert's role is going to be, so I'm going to go with McLaughlin.
Okay. You know what? Just for the sake of, I think the Dolphins get going again this week, I'm going to take Raheem Mostert, just because something's got to give there. A-Chain hasn't looked that great yet. I think A-Chain could have a serviceable week too, but I think maybe we try to get the ball into Raheem's hand a little bit too, just to kind of see what he looks like.
All right, Betsy asked, wide receiver 2 and a flex out of Worthy, Metcalf, Scary Terry, Moss, or Debo. DK is definitely in my lineup. DK is not coming out of my lineup. He's been too good. So DK is my wide receiver 2. Wow, I'd like to see who your wide receiver 1 is. These are your options at wide receiver 2 and flex. I think my number 2 is going to actually be Scary Terry. He's been really good with Daniels. Daniels has been Chris Godwin's her wide receiver 1. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Terry's been very good with the very accurate passing of Daniels. So I think I'm going to go with Terry and Metcalf there.
Okay, I'm going to agree with you on Metcalf, and I'm actually going to go with Debo Samuel. I like Xavier Worthy an awful lot this week, but I think Debo comes back and gets going. Again, it's a divisional matchup. 49ers are going to want to win that game just as bad as the Cardinals do. I think you're going to see a healthy dose of Debo this week. So, in agreement on DK. DK does not come out of my lineup at this point. Armando says, what up, fellas? Half point PPR, Chris Olave, T. Higgins, or Deontay Johnson, Brant?
I'm going to go with Deontay Johnson. I know the Bears have a good defense, but he's been so serviceable. He's been so good with Dalton, so I'm going to go with Johnson. I don't think he comes out of the lineup as long as Andy Dalton's the starter.
Yep, I agree. Deontay Johnson's in my lineup as long as Andy Dalton's a starter. Love what we're seeing out of him right now. He's in my lineup everywhere I own him. So yeah, I agree here with Deontay Johnson. All right, Brant, real quick, we got 5 minutes left of the show. What's Brant eating this week?
So I got going down this week. We're going with the appetizers, one of my favorite ones. I'll have it done before the Seahawks kick off at 3:00. We're going to have some meatballs and weenies get in the crock pot. We're going to have some potato skins. We got some chips and dip. We got some mozzarella sticks. I got some French bread to make some Italian dunkers. We're going to have just ourselves a good old little spread of appetizers. We'll spread it out on the table and tell the kids, when you're hungry, grab some food. I'll just turn around and walk through this little doorway right here, and there's the table right there. So I won't have to go far during a commercial break because we know I move.
Don't lie. Don't lie. You're going to pull that table next to your chair.
If it would fit through the doorway, I totally would. Now I do have plenty of TV trays.
For me, on my end, I have no idea. We've got a family member who's in the hospital, and it happened to be my wife's turn to take a meal up. So she's making her potato soup, which is one of my favorite things in the world, and taking it up to the hospital. So I imagine that means Fatboy Bo is going to have to munch on some pizza or something again this week. But maybe she'll feel generous and scoop me a bowl before she leaves with that potato soup, just loaded with ham and bacon and cheese and potatoes and all the really healthy, essential things that keep a body moving. So we're going to hold out hope that maybe we can get some of that before she heads off to deliver that up to the hospital. But other than that, I imagine I'll be eating some pizza.
Okay, absolutely. Oh, look at that. Brees Hall. Actually, just a carry.
He's had a few of them. He just hasn't looked good. And again, I think that Vikings defense is a lot better than people think. We got a couple last minute questions jumping in here, Brant. We've got Charlie says Chase Brown, Trey Sermon, Kareem Hunt, Jerome Ford, pick 2 and half-point PPR.
I'm going with Hunt and Ford again. Like I said, I think Steele's in the doghouse. Ford should have a good heavy dose, so I'm going to go with Hunt and Ford there.
All right, we're in agreement on Ford. Ford's a start for me just about everywhere that you could possibly roster him. On the other end of this, so I am going to go Trey Sermon in this one. I think, Indy has shown that they like to run the ball. Their offensive line is made to run the ball. And with Joe Flacco under center, I think it makes teams respect the pass enough that there should be some wide open lanes. And Trey Sermon's going to get his shot today. So we'll see. No Jonathan Taylor. I think I'm going with him and Ford in this one, Brant.
Okay. Troy asks Madison or Dunze. I'm going to go with Madison. No White. I'm going to go with Madison in a full point PPR. I love Odunze, but I think I'm going to go with Madison.
So if we scroll back up here, Brant, we've already answered this question, and you're changing your answer on me.
I am changing my mind on this. I am changing. Was it both of them? So I am changing my mind on this. It was up there. Yep, 907 prior to me realizing that Zamir was actually ruled out. So I am changing my mind on that.
Okay. I'm going to go Alexander Madison as well in this one. Being the number one option out of the backfield versus the number 3 pass catching option. I am going to go with Alexander Madison as well. So Brant has come to the dark side to join me on the Alexander Madison Vegas Raiders situation here. So there you go, Troy. So again, guys, if you didn't get your questions in with us, maybe you're too focused on this super tight contest between the Jets and the Vikings. It's a real nail biter. Anybody could win this one. If you didn't get your questions in with us because of that, maybe at halftime you want to jump in, get your questions answered. Don't hesitate to go jump in, throw your question with Patrick on his live start sit, the live start sit, or the Facebook post on the Fantasy Holics page. Somebody will be able to jump on there and get you some answers there as well if you didn't get it in with us. Of course, I will always say that the fat guys give the best advice, just because we're both we've got you in the food department, we've got you in the football department. You can't go ask those skinny folks what they think about food. You can't get that done there. We do have the Jets getting on the board as I'm making fun of how good of a contest this is with Alan Lazard. But go ahead, Brant.
Before we log off and sign off, in case nobody noticed, Aaron Jones is questionable to return to this contest. He went out with a hip injury. He tried to fight through it. He is questionable to return. The last 2 drives has been pretty much all Ty Chandler. I think Gaskin got a catch. So that's something to be monitoring during this game here. Only reason I noticed this is I'm facing Aaron Jones in 3 leagues. So as good as he looked to begin the game, I'm hoping maybe he does just, go ahead and rest. Your guys are up by 10. Just rest.
Right. There you go. Well, I think that wraps it up for our live stream to this week. Brant, you got anything else? Or
as always, stay hungry,